All right, so today we are continuing with plumbing. And so we're not using a ton of stuff from the RV world, but one thing we are using is this little tub. And we wanted a little tub because we still have a couple of smallish kids that keep growing every day. But when they get sick and stuff like that, we want to at least have something for them to sit in, and they like to take baths and stuff when they're sick or not feeling well. And so we thought we'd add a little tiny tub, and it could also, if we need to soak something like clothes or something like that to get really dirty, I don't know, we could have a place to pre-soak stuff. We're also going to build out a small extension on this side so that Michelle could sit and shave her legs or something. So anyway, so we're going to frame this out, and that's part of this plumbing, is figure out this wall, figure out this curve. As of right now, we're planning to tile. So we want to tile these two sides, and then we'll have a curtain that goes kind of around this tub that will, you know, when you shower, keep the water inside the space here. So anyway, we want to build a small frame to support this little tub. So we'll build out a little framework that will encapsulate, and then that will tell us exactly where to drill the hole for the drain. So that is the last drain part. We've already plumbed our toilet and our little sink, and some of the plumbing that will go from the washer and dryer and the kitchen sink. We haven't plumbed it all completely, but we have the main section over there, and then this is the last thing that will actually drain into the tank. Once this is all set, we have this exactly where we need it to go. We'll go ahead and plumb that. We'll start on the supply side of putting water into our system. So this is our progress so far. This is the beginning of starting to build out this bathroom. All right, so we've got pocket holes in this guy. We've drilled out the two large holes that are gonna use to mount it against the wall. And so now at the bottom, there's a little bit of space because the wall kind of curves like that. And so there's a little bit of space in the middle, which we've already put a spacer across the middle. And then this is the spacer that's going to go at the bottom. So we'll drill through both these spacers to kind of bring it so that it's as perfectly up and down as we can get. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue this guy in, and kind of wait for him to set up. So give it about 30 minutes. And then we'll screw this in. Alright, so we've mounted the rear wall. It went in very nicely, and it is very square. So when we put the tub up next to it, there's no seam anywhere along the tub. And so it went in pretty well. So the next step is we are going to build a framework for this tub area to support this tub all along the outside of it, just to give it a nice strong foundation to work with, and then figure out what we're going to do for this ledge here. We've tested some different heights and figured this is about the right height that we have it here. So we're going to go ahead and start framing that up, and that'll be the next step. 1 7/8. Done that any worse. All right. All right, so we've framed out the tub framework, so this is all in place now and set up. Originally we had planned to have the plumbing come across in that little hole up and then have it come out here. And so once we framed this all in and kind of established everything where it was, we think we're actually going to put the plumbing fixtures over here because there's enough room back behind here to have those plumbing fixtures, and it just makes more sense to have the shower come up this way and spray into the solid wall as opposed to spraying into the curtain. Okay, so we need...
Is it flush on the top?
Yeah,
it's pretty flush.
Yeah. All right, now that we've framed out the tub, we need to drill a hole. So the tub we have uses this on the bottom to screw in and hold down the little plunger thing. And so what we need to do is drill a hole big enough to accommodate this. The problem is it also has this little lip, and so that's about 1/4 inch there. And so we're going to have to drill a big hole to fit the 1/4 inch because this needs to sit flush. Then we'll drill the smaller hole, which is about 2 1/4, I think. We have to vacuum down there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all even now?
It's pretty even, yeah. I mean, I could chip a little way at that, but you know, since it's plywood, it kind of just took off 2 or 3 plies.
Yeah.
So this should now have room to sit flush, just like that. Right?
Okay.
Look at that. Like a glove. Like a glove.
Oh, good.
So that goes in. I mean, we'll have to take this off and actually screw this in, but...
Yeah. But everything's fitting right.
Yeah. There's like a special wrench for this. Alright, so we're working underneath now. In order for the smells from the black tank not to get back up through the shower, what's traditionally installed is a P-trap, which is a little piece of plumbing that has a little loop in it, and then water stays in that loop. and so that prevents the smells from going back the other way. Unfortunately, those don't work really well in RVs. The water tends to slosh around and then go back in the tube, and then you get kind of, the smell starts to go inside. And so what we've kind of discovered are these Hepvo valves. And so what this has in it is it has a little membrane in it. Instead of having to keep water in there, the little membrane stays shut until water kind of opens it and allows the drain to go through. So we've heard great reviews about these, so we're going to try these Hepvo valves. And in addition to not needing water and not being, you know, affected by the sloshing, they also allowed us to build our tanks a little bit higher. So these don't need as much clearance as a P-trap, and so these should allow us to have a little bit higher tanks. And so we built our tanks pretty tall, not as tall as we could because we knew we'd have to do some plumbing down here. And so anyway, now we're trying to get these all connected, trying to figure out how we're gonna hook this all up. So we do want it to have a slant. So from the roof, it needs to slant down into the tank in order to ensure proper drainage. So we're gonna try to slant it like this. And we also use rubber couplers wherever we can to help with the vibration. And if we ever need to pull this tank out, we need to be able to uncouple everything and then pull the tank out and be able to service the tank. So hopefully that'll never happen, but if it does, we'll have at least a way that we can attempt to try to pull it out. So that's what we're working on now. We've gone to Lowe's, I think, twice now, and so we've gotten enough fittings and adapters to try to make an educated guess on what we're gonna do here. All right, so we've marked our fittings here. We went inside and we screwed this all the way down in the tank, and then we put this on top, and we used a tape measure to see exactly what angle this needed to be at. And then we marked it originally with a Sharpie, but then I had trouble seeing that, and so I remarked it with a grease pencil. So this is used to mark on metal, but it also works on black plastic like this just fine. So we're gonna go ahead and glue these up. So I've got my gloves on, and we've bought some of this medium black ABS plastic cement, and so we'll just go ahead and glue this up and make sure that our lines line up. So, and then it should be good. We'll let it dry, and then we'll work on the rest of the piping. So there's our lines. That should be more than enough glue. All right, maybe here. Okay. Okay, so we just need a little piece of pipe about that big. Okay, so we'll let that sit. All right, so with this Hepvo valve, just as an FYI, this is 1.5 inches and this is 1.5 inches, but this is not the 1.5 inches that fits in here. So what you have to do is you have to buy this skinnier 1.5 inches that's the stuff that's under sinks. And so that's what actually fits in there. See, this here won't fit in there, it's too thick. And so it's 1.5 inches, but it needs to be 1.5 inches that's like the sink, under the sink kind of 1.5 inches. And so that's what these adapters are for. And so in order to get these pieces to go to that same size, you need this kind of, I think they call it a slip coupler or something like that. And so this white thing is a seal. It's a compression seal. So as you tighten it, it squeezes this pipe, and that's what forms the seal. So anyway, just as a heads up, if you are plumbing your own Hepvo system, more than likely you're probably doing it under the sink, so you're dealing with this anyway. But with our shower, we're going underneath, and so we've got the heavier stuff. And so we had to buy a little piece of this to fit in there. So just as a heads up, that's how it works. All right, so we're putting this together, and this goes on like that. So there's this is what causes the seal right here. And then that goes in there, and then this will just screw on. And this is a compression, so it'll make a compression, and it'll be nice and tight. Same with this side. Now that we've got this on here, we'll slide that on, and then that goes inside like that. And this will slide and go like that, and so that makes a nice tight seal there. And so now what we need is a piece of tubing that will connect. So this comes right out of the tank, and it'll be on that. And now we need a piece of tubing that goes from here to here. So we don't know exactly how long that is yet, so we're going to make a couple measurements. But we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry just so it fully cures. And then get in and make a few approximate measurements. And the nice thing about this thing is that it does slide. And so this thing, it can slide quite a ways. So this can slide. And so there's a little bit of adjustment there. So we're going to go ahead and make a rough measurement and cut some pieces. So while this one's setting up, we're going to start working from the other side. So down from the drain, we'll go directly into this 90. So we'll glue this end together out here, and then we'll have to glue the other end inside because the part is in there. But we'll go ahead and glue this one up. Get that one seated. Okay, so we'll wait on that one to solidify up. Alright, so we are almost ready to put this guy in, so we're going to go around it a few times with Teflon tape just to be sure that we don't have any leaks or anything like that. And then once we put that on, it should be facing the right way if we did this correctly. So we'll just put some Teflon tape on here. Okay. So there we go. And now we'll screw this guy in. Go around one more, and there, right there. Okay, so now that should be pointing right at that. And so we've got to get a measurement for this guy and then mark him, and then we'll know where to glue that guy. So this is just sitting in there right now, but we're about to glue it up. And so we're going to glue it up, and then we're going to see where it sits. Oops.
See our marks.
Okay. So this should be our last joint. So it's a good thing because I knocked the glue over and spilled it all. So anyway, there we go. So that one will, this pipe will go in there, and this will be able to slide like that. So we made it a little bit long, and then we'll slide it on this, and there'll be a little bit more tube sticking in there, which will be okay. If it kind of moves around a little bit, it should still be fine. So we'll let that dry, we'll let it all set up, and then we should be able to just kind of screw it all in. Okay, and this will slide out. Slide right into there. This gets tightened here. That's tight. Okay, and then this will compress onto here. Okay.
So we just need to tighten up
We need to
that.
tighten these guys, yep.
Okay, hold on.
And that will do it.
Okay, let me go get a screwdriver. Okay.
Tighten this one out.
Just a minute, babe.
Okay. All right, so we've got the bathtub framed in. We've got that last drain going into our waste tank. So our next step is going to be securing the tanks. And so we've got a method to ensure that the tanks are really secure and will stay in place. And next week, we're going to probably tackle supply side plumbing. So we've ordered a bunch of parts and we're waiting on those to come in.